Hello and welcome to Mission Backlog. I hope 2023 has started well for everyone. Reason for this video, I was sat down just trying to figure out what new games I was looking forward to this year to fit in around the playlist backlog to see when I wanted to play them. And I was going through making a list, seeing which ones were must plays, which ones I was interested in. And I thought, well, why not make a quick video about it, just running through games that I'm looking forward to and ones that aren't must plays for me, but ones that I'm certainly interested in. So I thought I'd just take a bit of time, just run through, put some trailer footage up, and just talk through my thoughts on it. So, without further ado, let's start with the first category, games that I will absolutely be playing on release. So, I've had to be a little bit sensible with this category, just because there's not enough time in the year to play all the games that I want to play whilst doing my backlog playlist, which is kind of the core of the channel, and I want to get through my backlog. So I've limited this to 6 games. The reason being, I want to try and get through 6 backlog playlist cycles through the year. So I figured I'd add one new game to each cycle. It's very unlikely it will actually turn out that way in the way they fall on release dates. No doubt a lot of them that haven't been announced yet will all fall on the same month or something, but that's the idea anyway. I don't think I'd be able to play through to completion more than 6 AAA games as well as the backlog, so that's why I've limited it to 6. So the first one on the list is, and I've done this in release date order, the ones that we have them for. So the first one on the list is Hogwarts Legacy. So I'm very much looking forward to this game. I love Harry Potter. Not so much absorbing the media and things anymore. I haven't delved into that world in many years actually, but growing up as a kid I was obsessed with the books, got them all on release, read them as quick as I could, loved the universe. When the films came out I was obsessed with the films as well. I don't think I've ever played a Harry Potter game actually, and I haven't watched the films or read the books in probably a decade now, so it's been a bit of an absence from the Harry Potter universe, but this game really appeals to me. It looks like a perfect opportunity to jump back into that world. The fact that you can explore all of Hogwarts, all of the grounds, all of the surrounding areas, all the kind of scenes that are all the locations that are in the books and the films, it looks really good. Hoping that it delivers on the breadth of exploration that I'm looking for and the combat and everything. But from everything I've seen, I think it does. So yeah, very much looking forward to this one. This one releases on the 10th of February, developed by Avalanche Software. So yeah, this will be the first one up, and I think I'll just tag this one onto the end of this current backlog playlist. Now, next up on the 17th of March, we have Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the follow-up to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So I really liked the first one. It was kind of like a Souls-esque combat. It was quite difficult combat at times, but very satisfying when you did kind of get through one of the difficult boss encounters or something. The world I absolutely loved. They nailed the characters, they nailed that Star Wars feeling. They nailed kind of combat with the lightsaber and everything like that. So yeah, I'm very much just looking for more of the same. I don't see why they wouldn't deliver on that. Very much looking forward to this game. And again, it's just trying to get all the dates to work. Hopefully I can squeeze this in the second backlog playlist cycle. Next up we have the first big Xbox exclusive of the year. Well, I say that, we don't actually know because the 3 big ones that are supposed to be coming out in the first half of the year don't actually have release dates yet. I think we'll find that out at the Xbox showcase later this month. But this one is Forza Motorsport, which just has a note saying that it's releasing in spring. So it could be this, it could be Redfall, it could be something else. But I will 100% be playing this when it comes out. I've loved every single Forza game that I've played, including all the Motorsport ones, all of the Horizon ones. They do not miss. 1010 are developing this one, and they've done all of the other Forza Motorsport games, which have all been excellent. The driving mechanics of Forza is the best I've found in any game. I now far prefer it to Gran Turismo, which is saying a lot because Gran Turismo used to be one of my favourite games of all time, Gran Turismo 3 and 4 back in the day. So yeah, this will be a game that I sink a lot of time into. I cannot see them missing on this. They, as I say, they never have. The trailer footage so far looks stunning, as you'd expect. I can't wait to see what it looks like on kind of the Xbox Series X. It's been a long time actually since the last one, Forza Motorsport 7, I think that's the one, yeah, released in 2017. So it's been getting on for 6 years since the last one. So I'm hoping for some, like a big jump in visual fidelity, and I don't want them to change too much. I don't want them to go crazy, but some new kind of game modes or new way that the story develops or something would be, that the career develops, would be a nice touch. So yeah, very much looking forward to seeing this. One thing I would really like actually, which I think they had in one of the older ones way back, like Forza Motorsport 2 or something, is your own garage that you can actually physically walk into and see your cars in 3D and walk around, and then like buy bigger garages to store more cars, and then eventually kind of warehouses to house your hundreds of cars and be able to walk around and see them all. I'd love that, and that's something I'm not sure why they haven't put in any of the recent games, because it can't be that difficult. So that's my one wish for this game, on top of the base awesomeness that I know they're going to deliver. Next up, another Xbox exclusive, my most hyped game for this year, and that is Starfield. It ticks all of the boxes that I'm looking for in a game. Sci-fi is my favourite genre. I'm craving kind of a current gen, like Xbox Series X released Western RPG. I love the look of the exploration in this game, the combat, everything about it ticks everything that I'm looking for in a game. I just hope they deliver. Xbox doesn't have the best track record of delivering when they need to, and I feel like this one really is kind of a must deliver. I mean, if Bethesda stuff this up and it doesn't review well, then, well, I don't know what it has to deliver, basically. And I'm confident that it will. They've spent a lot of time developing this game. They've delayed it, so it's had all of the time in the oven it needs. Hopefully it's going to come out with, obviously it's going to have a few small glitches because it looks like it's a very big game, but hopefully it's not going to come out riddled with bugs, and it will be perfectly playable at launch, which would be refreshing. Yeah, very much looking forward to this. Most hyped game of the year. Just needs a release date now. I'm hoping it comes out kind of May time, just to give me time to play the games that come out before then. And next up, one we don't have a release date for yet, but I'm assuming it's going to come out, if it does come out this year. It's supposed to, but towards the end of the year, kind of November, December time. And that is Stalker 2, The Heart of Chernobyl. So I didn't play the first one. I think it was only a PC only game and it came out a long time ago. I've never really been a PC gamer, so it was just never on my radar. But looking at all the footage that's been released for this so far, it looks incredible. We don't get too many really solid first-person shooter kind of single-player games anymore. There's lots of good first-person shooters around, but a lot of them are multiplayer focused. And this looks like it could really kind of itch that sweet spot. Yeah, I love the location, I love the setting, the graphics look stunning. I like that it's got a bit of a horror twist to it. It looks like you're going to be fighting through a lot of scary locations, and there's going to be that tension going on all the time. It just looks really interesting, and I can't wait to get stuck into this. Another thing I should mention, I didn't mention on previously, is that this one, Forza Motorsport and Starfield, are all coming to Game Pass, so that's obviously a bonus. That a lot of these games I won't be needing to pay kind of full price for at release, which makes it a lot easier obviously as well. So yeah, looking forward to that one. And the final game in the 6 games that I'm definitely going to play on release this year, which I never thought it would be, is Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. I've never played an Armored Core game. It's never been something that's been on my radar that's interested me. But the trailer at the Game Awards, I'll have it playing in the background now, but I very highly suggest you go and watch it in as high quality as you can, on as big a screen as you can, with the sound turned up. The trailer blew me away, and when I realised that it was developed by From Software, the people that made Elden Ring and the Dark Souls series, I was like, well, I'm going to give this a go no matter what. It looks incredible. Obviously, we've only got a theatrical trailer at the moment, so we don't really know too much about what the game's going to be like. But I've just got trust in that developer now, and the style and visuals and feel of that trailer just spoke to me as well. It just looks like it's going to be kind of a really fun, brutal mech slashing, shooting, awesome game. So yeah, I mean, it may be a bit of a punt for me, having never played the Armored Core series, but as I say, I've just got trust in that developer now. I played Elden Ring, well, it's not this year now, is it? In 2022, when that released, I absolutely loved it, and that was the first, and that was the first From Software game that I'd actually played. But it was my game of the year last year. It's inspired me to go back. I've got Bloodborne now to play on the PS4. So yeah, I'm going to give this one a go, assuming that it releases this year. I think again it's going to be one that releases November or December, but I'll be jumping on it when it does. Right, I'm going to speed up a little bit now. I just looked, and if I carry on at that pace, this video is going to be a bit longer than I was thinking it would be. But next up we have the games that I'm very much interested in playing and almost certainly will play at some point, but just because I don't have enough time during the year, they'll probably go on my backlog, unless some of them get kind of absolutely stellar reviews and I kind of have to play them. I'll squeeze them in somewhere, but most of these I expect will be going on the backlog. First up, releasing very soon on the 27th of Jan, is the Dead Space remake. Everything I've seen of this looks fantastic. I loved the original Dead Space. I loved the art style, the gameplay. It made it into my top 10 or top 15 Xbox 360 games of all time. I am ashamed to say I never actually finished the original Dead Space. I made it, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through and just fell off it. Not because it was a bad game, but because I found it quite intense, and I went off to play some games to calm myself down and never came back to it. But I think this would be the perfect way to right that wrong. Following that quite closely, on the 2nd of Feb, we have Deliver Us Mars. Again, this is a game that looks right up my alley. Sci-fi game. Obviously, it's based around Mars. The original, well, the prequel to this is a sequel to Deliver Us to the Moon, I think that's what it's called, which had really good reviews as well, and that has been a game I've been meaning to play. I haven't picked it up yet, but at some point I probably will. But this looks really interesting, kind of platforming and doing things around Mars and solving mysteries and things. So very much one that I'm going to keep an eye on and will almost certainly play at some point. Right, next up, at least I think so anyway, it's been slated for a spring release, but we don't have an exact release date yet, is Redfall by Arcane Studios. So I wasn't convinced by the first couple of trailers I saw. It looked fine, but it wasn't speaking to me too much. But with the recent commentary from Arcane saying that the gameplay is very much more along the lines of Far Cry rather than what I think a few other people were assuming, kind of a Left 4 Dead style, that appeals to me a bit more. So I've got a bit more excited about this game in the kind of the last few weeks. Yeah, that's the reason it's not in my kind of 6 must-play games. It's one I'm definitely gonna have a look at when it comes out, and it will be coming on Game Pass, so I can pretty much play it at any time. But yeah, I'm very curious about this game. I think again, Xbox needs some heavy hitters this year. I'm not sure this will be one of them, but who knows? You can never predict these things, can you? Hopefully it is. But yeah, it looks interesting. It's one I'm definitely going to have a look at and will probably play at some point. Now, jumping to summer, on the 6th of June, supposedly, Diablo 4 is going to release. I have not played any of the previous Diablo games. I've kind of looked at them, and I think they look quite interesting. And it's certainly a series that I would like to get involved in. I own Diablo 3 actually on the shelf behind. I just haven't got around to playing it yet. It is on the backlog. But I thought, seeing as a brand new updated game coming out on current gen hardware is coming out, then I may as well jump in at Diablo 4. So again, it's one of those, I'll wait and see how it reviews, because obviously Diablo 3 was a very well reviewed game, so if Diablo 4 falls a bit short, it's a bit of a tongue twister there, then I'll probably just revert back to Diablo 3. But everything I've seen again on the trailers and everything so far looks really good. I'm sure it will deliver. I've also got some friends that really like the Diablo games, so if they're all getting it on release, then I might jump in with them for a bit if I've got the time, so they can kind of carry me through and show me the ropes of these type of games. So yeah, looking forward to that. Also in June, later that month, on the 22nd, we have Final Fantasy 16. So really liked Final Fantasy 15. It was actually the first Final Fantasy game I've ever beaten, even though I've played a fair few. And I think the reason, well, I know the reason for that was that it was action combat rather than turn-based combat. I've tried several Final Fantasies, and enjoyed them all to a certain extent. Enjoyed the story, enjoyed the first kind of couple of dozen hours, but I always just fell off because I found the turn-based combat just a bit too repetitive. Final Fantasy 15 hooked me. I really enjoyed the combat wasn't the best, let's be honest, compared to a lot of other kind of action combat games, but it kept me engaged far more than turn-based combat, and that kept me going through the story, and really enjoyed my time with it. So Final Fantasy 16, very much looking forward to. I don't have a PS5, so I won't be playing it on release. I got that pesky kind of timed exclusive, I think PlayStation have. I don't think it's coming out on the PlayStation 4 either. If it is, then there's a chance I'll play it on there, or I'll just wait until it releases on the Xbox like I did with 15. But very much liking what I'm seeing. I like the setting of it, going back to kind of medieval times. I like the darker tone. Everything looks really good. It's got all of the classic summons back as well, hasn't it? That I experienced playing through Final Fantasy X. So looking forward to getting back with all of those as well. So yeah, when I play this, I'm not sure, but it will definitely be a game that's going straight on the backlog. Next up, just slated for a summer release, we don't have an actual date for it yet, is a guilty pleasure series of mine, which is Assassin's Creed Mirage. I've really enjoyed the past few Assassin's Creed games, the new kind of large open world format. I've actually preferred them to the previous kind of more linear ones, but I know a lot of people don't agree, so I think kind of Ubisoft are listening to some of those fans, and they're going back to one of those more linear games with this one. It's going to be more condensed, far less open world, more structured kind of story arc like the previous ones, which I'm happy with, because I did enjoy the previous Assassin's Creeds as well, and it will be nice to mix it up, and hopefully we get back to one of those larger, more epic open world RPGs in the following Assassin's Creed. I'm hoping that it will be of the kind of quality of Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which is my favourite kind of new form Assassin's Creed. It's got what's his name? Basim, who was in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So I quite liked him as a character, so it'll be interesting to play as him and see his backstory, see where he came from before he came into Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So yeah, I really like Assassin's Creed games, always look forward to them. And this is probably one of the ones most on this list that if it does review really, really well, I probably will try and squeeze it in this year. But again, it's just time and where that's going to happen. Now the next few we have no release date for. They're just slated for 2023. So I think if any, these are the ones that are going to get pushed to 2024. But at the moment, they're all slated for a 2023 release. First one of these is Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga. I played the first one, really enjoyed it, very unique experience. It's all about the sound design. You've got to play it with headphones. Yeah, very unique, very clever and well done sound design on that game. The combat was fine, but there was nothing particularly special about the combat. But I enjoyed my time with the game. I thought it was a very good game and a very interesting game. But what I'm looking forward to in this one is they've obviously got the Microsoft backing now. They've got, I assume, a way bigger budget, and I'm very interested to see where they go with it, expanding on this universe to a much bigger scale. They've had a lot of time to work on this game now, so I'm hoping for big things from this game, and we'll see what happens. Next up we have The Last Case of Benedict Fox, a indie game that looks very interesting. It was shown at the Xbox Showcase last year. Yeah, it's got a really interesting art style. It looks like it can offer a really unique gameplay experience, which is something I'm looking for from indie games. I very much started playing a few more indie games in the last kind of few years, and I'm enjoying my time with most of them. It's a platforming Metroidvania game where you're playing through kind of Lovecraftian horror environments. As you see from the trailer, it all looks kind of very kind of unique and exciting. And yeah, we'll see what happens with this game. I think this one and Hellblade and possibly the next one I'm going to get onto are all coming to Game Pass because they're all backed by Xbox. So again, there's not going to be any risk in checking these games out. Next, we have a very cute-looking little indie game called The Plucky Squire. So when I saw this trailer, I kind of thought, yeah, I've definitely got to play this when it comes out. It will be a bit of a relief, I think, after playing kind of more serious games around that kind of time of year. So you play as a plucky squire, and you'll see from the gameplay, but you are in a kind of storybook, and then you realise you can leave the storybook and come out into the real world. And the variety of gameplay in this looks kind of really exciting. They're constantly changing up the gameplay style, whether it be kind of platforming or side-scrolling shooting or all of these types of things. So I'm very much kind of looking forward to getting stuck into this and just seeing what else the game has to offer that isn't shown in the trailer. It's also published by Devolver Digital, who seem to be very good at picking which games they kind of back. I know they've had a few misses, but on the whole, a lot of the kind of indie game of the years that come up seem to have the backing of Devolver Digital. So we'll see if this one hits, but that's another one of the reasons it's on my radar. And I should say that it's published by All Possible Futures, who I actually haven't heard of before, but it looks like they've made a very interesting game. So, and finally in this category we have the Cyberpunk DLC Phantom Liberty. So again, there's no date for this one. It'll be published and developed by CD Projekt Red, as the original game was. So I really like the world of Cyberpunk, but I haven't finished it. I'm one of the people that I got it on release, very excited. I got a special edition. I got a huge limited edition poster, which I actually still need to put up on the wall somewhere. I was all in for this game because The Witcher 3 is one of my favourite games of all time. Played it on release, tried to battle through it, but I had to fall off just because the bugs and the glitches were getting so extreme, and it seemed to be getting worse the further I got through the game, that it was just completely taking me out of the moment. Just midway through missions I'd get stuck and I just wasn't enjoying the experience. I loved the world that they've created, and I was really enjoying the story and the combat when it was working. I could see that there was a really brilliant game underneath, but I just said to myself, right, I want to enjoy my time with this game, let's just shelve it for now until they've sorted all the bugs and everything, which obviously now they have. But I parked it and I was like, well, I may as well wait for a kind of next gen release, current gen now, which is also out, but it's just finding that time now to go back and kind of play through it all again and finish the game. So obviously I need to do that before I get onto the DLC, but this is a DLC that I will very much be playing through at some point. It's got Idris Elba in it, I noticed from the trailer as well, which is cool. I think he's a good actor and probably fits in this world quite well. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how this turns out. They really need to release this in a good state, which I'm sure they will. I can't see them doing the same thing twice. But yeah, I'll be keeping a close eye on this when it comes out and seeing the reviews and everything. Now, the final category is games that just look interesting to me. There might not be too much information about them. They might be new IPs and things. Just games that I'm not expecting to necessarily put them all on the backlog, but just ones I want to keep an eye on, and when the game comes out, kind of take a look at reviews and things and the full game and kind of see what I think of them. So the first one, which is coming out fairly soon on the 21st of Feb, is Atomic Heart. So everything I've seen of this game looks crazy and incredible, and yeah, it looks like it could be a really good game. It's got a really unique setting. I love the kind of art style and design they've gone for. The combat looks quite kind of unique and compelling. So yeah, I will be checking this one out on release. It's coming out on Xbox, which means I can actually play it, which will be good. And if it kind of hits and reviews well, it will be one that I'm probably going to put on the backlog. Next up is The Day Before, a game that just completely came out of nowhere and looks like it's promising so much in terms of kind of visual fidelity, depth, and amount of different gameplay. It looks like a kind of Division style game, but with extra layers on top of the Division, from a developer that hasn't really done anything of this scale before. But if it does deliver, it could be an incredible game. But I'm a bit dubious. Call me cynical. It's certainly one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that it does deliver, because it could be an incredible game, one that I'd really like to play. But I kind of have a feeling it's one of those games that's going to overpromise and underdeliver. And I kind of feel like it's going to be like No Man's Sky, where it comes out in a bit of a state without the features they promise, and they work on it over time, and it gradually gets up there. But I mean, it looks really good. It's got base building, crafting, huge open world. The graphics look incredible. So we'll see. Next up is Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. So the only reason this one is on here is because I loved my time with Batman Arkham Asylum. I probably wouldn't play this too soon, purely because I've still got Batman Arkham City and Batman Arkham Knight on my backlog. So I feel like I should probably play through those first. But yeah, absolutely loved Arkham Asylum, and I know that Arkham City and Arkham Knight are supposed to be brilliant games as well, so I will get around to them. They're on the backlog playlist selector. But I would like to keep an eye on how this reviews. If it does review really well, I'll put it, well, it won't go straight onto my backlog, it will go onto my watch list, and when I eventually buy it, it will go onto my backlog. So yeah, just one to keep an eye on. It looks quite interesting. Now we have Lies of P, a very interesting looking game, where it's a Souls-like game. So Souls-like combat, very kind of quite methodical, quite technical, difficult looking combat, with some unique enemy designs. You play as Pinocchio, and the environments that you see in the trailers all look quite interesting and compelling, and one that I'm definitely going to keep my eye on and see how it turns out. Next we have quite a different game, is Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. I love racing games. I missed the first, I think there's two, the first two Test Drive Unlimited games that came out on the Xbox, back on the Xbox 360 generation. They just completely flew me by, and I was a student for a lot of that time, so I wouldn't have had the money to buy them anyway, probably. But looking back at kind of reviews and footage of those games, and I do own them actually on the 360. I've bought them since, so I will probably play them at some point as well. But it looks like the style of game that I'd absolutely love. I played The Crew 2 on the Xbox One, which I know is not exactly the same, but it was that idea of, it was the whole of the USA that you could drive around and race around, which I, not one-to-one, but it had all the key locations, and I really enjoyed my time with this game. And this game, Test Drive Unlimited, the new one, is a one-to-one replica of Hong Kong, which I think is a really cool, I've never been there, but Hong Kong has that mystique, doesn't it? I think it would be a really cool place to drive around, and you have your own homes, and you build your car collection, you take part in races, and yeah, very much looking forward to this game. There's not much information out about it that I could find. There's very little in the way of gameplay or anything. This trailer is the most that I could find in terms of video footage of it, so whether it releases this year or not, I'm not too sure, but hopefully it does. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. I'll kind of check it out when it releases, and I think this is probably one that, barring a complete cock up on the developers front, I probably will play at some point. And finally, with again no release date, is Alan Wake 2. So again, there's not much to go on this game. In terms of gameplay, the trailer they've released is very theatrical, doesn't show any gameplay or anything, as you'll see. But I did really enjoy the first Alan Wake. Funny story with the first one. This is one that I didn't finish either, but this was not my fault. So I was probably about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through the game, and my girlfriend at the time, now wife, was doing a very sweet thing, and obviously I'm quite into gaming, and she wasn't, or still isn't really into gaming at all. But she thought while I was at work one day that she would hop onto the Xbox and try a game out, just so when I got home she could be like, oh, I've tried this game, look at me go. So she just played the game that was in there, which was Alan Wake, started playing the first level, found it a bit scary and a bit difficult, and turned it off. I came home and she was like, oh, I've tried this game, yeah, it's not for me, but yeah, it was okay, I had a good time. And I was like, oh, that's nice, you're trying gaming. And then went on to later that night to carry on my playthrough, and the save file had been wiped, and she had accidentally, yeah, didn't know what she was doing, which is obviously not her fault, and overwrote my save file. So I would have had to start all the way from scratch, about 10-15 hours through again, which, as if anyone's watched my previous videos, I'm not the best person with horror games anyway. I find it quite stressful playing with them, so I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to play through all that all again. So that game is forever never going to be finished for me. But I see Alan Wake 2 as a chance to kind of play through the new version of it, and if it's anything like the first one, it should be a hell of a game. So looking forward to that as well. So what I've learned from creating this list is it looks like 2023 is going to be one hell of a year for gaming. The year is already stacked, and we've undoubtedly got dozens of games that aren't even announced yet. They're going to be coming out in the second half of the year into winter. So yeah, it's going to be one hell of a ride. Now, if any of you guys have any games that are on your must-play list or ones you're interested in, please leave a few suggestions in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys are looking forward to. Thank you for watching. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. Now, on to the next one.